Are you one of those people, whether a home stager or an entrepreneur, that actually might be okay at doing the sales call and not really at that point getting the client, the prospect to buy, but you totally forget about the follow-up for a lot of different emotional reasons? Or maybe you're somebody that really would like to know what some follow-up strategies are. Like, how do you actually follow up? Well, there are lots of proven sales follow-up strategies, and it is true. The fortune is in the follow-up, right? It's not just in making the call. So today I'm super excited because I've got two home staging industry experts, Michelle Finnamore and Kristy Morrison. Both of them are from the Ontario area, one in Ottawa, one in the Toronto area. So we're going to find out a bit about them, what they do, and who they service. But if you're not familiar with who I am, I'll just tell you. My name is Dana Smithers, and I wrote the book, How to Start and Run a Home Staging Business. And I was in the staging business from about early 2000 and went full-time, took my leap of faith in 2004. I did actually sell my home staging business last year, so I focus on, my business now is coaching women entrepreneurs, primarily women that are in startup, starting over, or stuck. And because I'm also a certified law of attraction trainer, I use a lot of the law of attraction, focusing on what people really want to manifest in their business. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about what we're going to talk about. Kristy and Michelle are going to share some of their strategies, and they've both created very, very successful businesses. So I would like to introduce Michelle Finnamore right now. So Michelle, tell the viewers where you live, your company, and tell us whether you do occupied or vacant, and then we'll get into the sales later.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me today. Really great to be here. I've been in sales my whole life. It was only in 2007 that I decided to become a home stager, took a course,
okay.
and built the company from there. And we do all types of staging. So we do occupied, vacant. We actually do product photo shoots. We do shows that are for trade, in that, say, it's an appliance company and they want to have their buyers come in and see their appliances. So could we stage a kitchen, a bar, whatever for them, so it looks like that, they see how it's used. So we do different types of staging, though 90% of what we do is home staging. And we're located in Toronto. And we do rent the larger pieces of furniture. We do supply everything else ourselves. We have our own inventory for 23 houses, and they're all out at all times. And that's quite a thing. I am not ever contemplating having my own rental furniture company.
Right. And if we've got time, we'll talk about that as well, just why you may or may not want to do that. So thanks so much, Michelle, and I'm just delighted that you took time out, because I know you're very, very super busy right now, to join us today, so thanks so much.
You're welcome.
And Kristy Morrison, just back from a vacation.
Always.
Welcome, Kristy.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the invite. I'm really excited to be here. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm Kristy Morrison. I own Capital Home Staging and Design right here in Ottawa, Ontario. And I've been in business since 2008, so 7 years now. We are full service, so we do occupieds and vacants. I like to focus more on the vacants, obviously, because they're a little bit more profitable. And that's pretty much the bulk of our services. And then I have a subcategory where I just help people when they're moving with their services. So that's pretty cool. The biggest thing that I love is the potential that we have to transform these homes within these vacants. That's why I want to go after them more. But like Michelle, I don't want to have a rental company either. I thought I did when I started. I was like, it's going to be big. We're going to be, so busy. We're going to rent to all the stagers. My market's a little bit smaller than the Toronto market. We're a government city, so a lot of people are pretty tight. So we only have about 10 homes worth of furniture ourselves, and then when we're done with our stuff, we do use third-party rentals, but I didn't want to get into that ball game myself.
Right. Yeah. Thanks very much, Kristy. Yeah, there's that whole conversation. I know a lot of because all of us are on the social media, blog posts, Facebook or LinkedIn or even the Google now, and join the groups and see people saying, should they have inventory or not. And there's definitely pros and cons to both of those, but that's another hangout for another day. And Kristy and Michelle, I know that you've been very involved with RISA, so how about just telling the viewers, Michelle, I know that you've won some awards and you've been nominated for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we've actually won a couple of awards from RISA for vacant staging, and then being nominated for top 10 stager in Canada a couple times. And from there, it's always nice to have those accolades because, of course, it gives you some credence in the marketplace. It does help with your branding and marketing. So definitely worth it to enter these things. I know a lot of people shy away from entering, but you do want to enter. It gives you the positive impact of how you can do better next year. That's what I like about it. And you do get to meet the people when you're at the conference and learn from them. I book a lot of meetings that I don't attend the actual seminars that they're holding sometimes. I'll book off that 2 hours instead to just sit and talk with an experienced stager in an area maybe I'm not familiar with or one I want to move into. And then they are quite willing to share. It's a wonderful thing about RISA is that everyone is very, very much into being part of the community, and they do a lot to promote our industry to the wider market. So I can't say enough good things about RISA.
Yeah, that's great. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I was looking at a post where a newer stager, a newbie, was saying that, oh, there's so much competition. But I just look at everybody as a colleague or a collaborator. If you started out years ago, as I did, my challenge and many of our challenges was concept sell. What is home staging, right? We had to convince people to use it. But now, there's so much camaraderie within the group, and that's just great what you said, Michelle, about going to RISA and then meeting people. That's how I've met other people as well, and it's really good that way. And how about yourself, Kristy? We'll just touch on this.
Yeah, I actually started attending RISA pretty much right from when they started and when I started my business. So
and I think that's when we met.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
So we met in Vegas, and I actually made it a personal goal of mine to bring the staging community locally, which is why I opened the Ottawa chapter. So we can actually get to know each other, talk back and forth, talk about the issues that new stagers have, and then the experienced stagers can help. And it's just like the RISA events on the big level, and then we just make it a little bit smaller locally, so it's more personal here. But I totally agree with Michelle with taking the time to meet with people at these conferences, because that's where you're going to find a great network. Like Michelle's in Toronto, so it's great to know that you can meet up with someone at an event that you all have in common, and share your stories and thoughts and tips, and a lot of the information is also being shared on the RISA Facebook page, photos about warehouses and things like that. So it's just a huge tool that anyone can take advantage of, pretty much, just by tapping into it. And like you said, there is no true competition. We're here to help each other. One person cannot do all the work. 30 million people in Canada. And so,
as you're saying, on the RISA Facebook page, you do get to know stagers all across North America.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone private messaged me. They had a lead for somebody in Ottawa. Did I know someone that I could direct them to? And of course, I directed them to Kristy. And that's another benefit of being in the RISA group, is that, yes, we are a community. There'll always be those that choose not to be, but that's okay. That's a different way of doing business. But the ones that are making their mark in the staging world are definitely the ones that reach out and create the community.
Right, absolutely. I didn't really plan on spending that much time talking about RISA, but I hope Michelle Broadnax is pleased with that. I'll have to pass this on to her or get it up on the RISA site. But what I liked what you said, Michelle, was that you really kind of segued into meeting somebody and then actually taking the time to have that follow-up meeting with them.
Right.
So let's just now talk about sales, and I'd like the viewers to know whether you deal mostly with realtors or home sellers. Michelle, how do you go about meeting people, and then what are some follow-up strategies for you?
I'm in a unique situation, I would think, for most stagers, in that my office is actually inside a brokerage. Now,
Oh,
I
okay.
but I have to tell you that I only work out of over 500 agents there in the brokerage between two offices. I only work with probably 15 of them on
Wow.
a regular basis because I am very selective about who I work for. I have very high standards and processes, and I work with agents that also exemplify those characteristics and how they run their business. And that's what makes it possible for my business to run smoothly, because we all use the same processes, in that there is a process for everything. There's nothing left to chance, nothing left to guess. We literally start staging at 9:30 in the morning. We're done by noon, and that could be a house that's 10,000 square feet. It doesn't matter. We just hire more people.
Wow.
And so from there, the photographer's coming at 1. We have never missed a deadline in 8 years of being in business. We are always
Wow.
done on time. And that photographer's coming, and if it's a big house, he'll have to be there 4 or 5 hours. So that's why we do it that way. I do work for all brands. I do not market to the public whatsoever. That's
Okay.
not my ideal client. My ideal client is a agent that wants us to be part of their marketing team, and that's where the follow-up comes into. We'll talk about it more later, but that is how I do it. I provide seminars for the agents. I do have a professional sales background, so I do share my sales ability and my processes for door knocking, for following up, all these types of things, and help them grow their brand so that I grow with them. So I may be starting with somebody who's been selling real estate for 20 years. It may be somebody who just got their license, but this is how we grow. And we follow up, whether it's through blog posts or we follow up through phone calls, emails, whatever it takes.
Wow, that's very impressive, and we'll come back to that. So that's very niche, the way you've done it, and I really love that you're the boss.
Mm-hmm.
You're in control. You're telling them this is how we're going to do it, and this is our
Exactly.
marketing plan. And because you're at that stage where you've gained the reputation, and I totally get, especially from a law of attraction perspective, that I only want to work, and so do you, with people that match my vibration.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have the same values, even the same end goal, and cooperate, I don't want to work with them.
That's correct. I'm very particular about who I work with. If I work with a person for the first time and they, through the process, do not do what they say they're going to do, follow up when they say they're going to follow up, things like that, I do let them know we will not be working together again. I don't just let it fall away. Again, it's that follow-up principle.
Yeah.
And we follow up and we say, if you can work with us with our process and it's in place for a reason, from our experience it works, you get the results you're looking for, so do we, and your client does, the homeowner, the seller, then we can work together.
Wow.
And I have had agents say to me in particular that, well, I'm going to tell everybody what you just said. And I said, good, I'd like to go on the overhead mic right now and let's tell the whole office, because I don't want any more clients like you. I have a process. Oh, no, I'm pretty direct. And I have a process. It works. And by you doing the things you're doing, we're not going to hit the target of photography at 1, because you have to pay the photographer whether we're ready or not for the house to be shown. So we have to hit the target. So yes, there's a reason for everything, and I do explain the reasons, and that's how we do it.
Wow, that's absolutely fabulous. I love that's so empowering. I love it. So Kristy, how about you? What's your sales follow-up technique?
How do I follow up to that? Well, here in Ottawa, I love doing office presentations. Realtors are my primary client. Like Michelle, I don't go after the homeowner market. I don't like it. I don't like the continual, discount question. I put up front everywhere, I don't discount anything. You work with me and my team, this is what you're going to pay. You have a bad time, so do we all. Sorry to hear that, but this is what it takes. I can't do it. Time is money, and bills don't get paid on free. So I too have those systems as well. I fortunately haven't had to be very forceful with too many agents. I have had to fire about 2 in my career. It feels awesome to fire a client. I hope everyone gets to experience that, just because it's empowering for a business owner and you feel free. It's no longer weighing on your mind or your conscience, or like, oh, I have to get back to this person, but I hate calling them because they're so rude and I feel like garbage. Forget it. It's your business. Work with the people you want. So I make sure I'm doing office presentations all the time, getting in there in front of agents. All you need is one agent to have a relationship with. So if you're brand new in the industry, just go to the newest person in the team, become friends with them, follow up with them continually, make friends with the gatekeeper, the lady at the desk, bring her a little box of chocolates, like become friends with someone in the office, and then that's going to get you the door to the whole entire office. It just starts with one person. You can't just, go contact someone once and be like, oh, okay, I tried, see you later. It really takes the follow-up. You hear it, fortunes in the follow-up. You really have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's going to be the key to a good business. If you're not feeling uncomfortable, you're not trying hard enough, and that's when you're starting your business. And then eventually you're going to get to a point where Michelle and I are at, where we're like, you don't like it? Go somewhere else.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kristy. And I think, just from the law of attraction perspective, this is something that is so important, is to get clear on who that ideal client is, because we can't create a marketing plan or even a sales strategy if we don't know who we're targeting. So it's interesting, Michelle, I'd like to ask you, when you started out, did you ever work with homeowners, or did you go into this brokerage firm right away?
No, I didn't go into it right away, but I only targeted the brokerages. I was in a different town then of about 150,000 people, and I went into 2 brokerages, and I have a very specific seminar that I put on for the first time so that they see how I'm going to become part of their marketing team. I do not use the words home staging when I'm talking with agents, and I don't want them to use the words actually with their clients. I do want them to introduce me as a member of their marketing team that prepares their home for listing photos. That is how it's to be said. So I actually give them the verbiage, and then I give them the follow-up with, these are the 10 questions they're going to ask most likely, and here's your answers for those 10 questions. So that's my initial seminar that I put on. And from there, those people that are attracted to the way that I say that, they become my ideal clients. I really don't have to sift through too many, because I'm very direct, and this is how we do it, this is the process. And if they are process-driven people, if they're banking people, if they're from the government, they've worked in hospitals, that type of thing, they're teachers, those are typically the type of real estate agents that I work for, people who've had those previous careers, because that's where they feel comfortable. So that's why I don't have too many that I have to actually corral into, okay, what's wrong here, because we have a process, it's going sideways, I'm very uncomfortable with sideways, so let's bring it back here. And so if they, like I said, I've only ever had one where I've actually had to have that conversation, and that was fine. After we had that conversation, he came back into line. So that's all it is that you have to get people understanding why you have the processes. And if you do your initial introductory meeting with them, whether it's a coffee meeting or it's in an office, that's where you're going to have the most success by doing that. And then following up with what you're saying.
Right. So just in terms of that follow-up, Michelle, it's often said that you need to touch somebody 7 to 12 times before they'll actually buy. And I know I put some statistics up with this blog post as well. So once you have a coffee with them, you meet with them, how would you keep in touch with them if you wanted to convert them from a prospect to a client?
All right, so you should always listen very carefully to what they're saying. So if they're talking that they have trouble moving their clients forward, so you have to delve deeper into that. So that could be a follow-up email where I was listening to you and you were saying this, and I felt you might need to know this bit of information. And you can get that information from anywhere. It can be from RESA, it can be just from a newspaper article that you read, it could be a blog post and you just copy and paste it, link to them. I do this all the time with my agents that I work with. So even though they're giving me a lot of business every year, I still, when I see something important that I think would work for them, I send them that link. So I'm following up even though we haven't had a conversation, and that's how you do it. And really, people don't make a decision. I know even way back in the 80s when I was in sales, they said someone needs to see something 19 times before they'll act. So you have to be very, I'm not going to use the word persistent, I'd rather use the word consistent. You must consistently be sending something of value to the agents to keep them on board with you. And even if they are using another stager, that's fine. I was staging a job and I had somebody new with me who is a stager. She was helping, and there was a gentleman standing there and he had a zippy leather briefcase little thing under his arm. And I said, hi, I said, you look like a like a real estate agent? He goes, I am. I'm just waiting here for the key. And I went, oh, I said, I'm a home stager. He goes, oh, I use a home stager. And I go, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that you do, because your listings must look amazing. But I said, you know, at some point, your stager is going to take a vacation, and you're going to need somebody maybe for that 1 week or 2 weeks. I'd really like it if we could meet and talk about that. And then if you need me, you know who to call, if it's only for that one time per year when your stager is away. And he said yes, and we met, and we've been in contact ever since. And there you go. That's how you do that. You follow up, even with the littlest crack of a door open, and that person becomes very loyal to you. And they may not need that person. That person they're using may retire. You don't know where that stager is in there, as you said, your stage of your business where you sold yours last year. What happened to all your clients, right? Did they immediately hire that new stager that took over your business, or did they look for someone else? So that's why you want to do your follow-up all the time.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I used to be a sales manager for it when I was in corporate before I got into this business as well, and you know, I looked for a lot of national accounts. I was in the staffing industry, and we'd always go into those accounts that, of course, they were using another service. You know, we're always happy when they are, but it would just be a matter of time with the follow-up. Hey, just wanted to let you know if that service isn't available. And that's how we got a lot of business. Like, just one time somebody, and in staging somebody can't do it, you're in, and they'll see the comparison, and if you're a good fit, you're in with that. Yeah. And Kristy, how about for you? Do you use much social media once you meet a realtor? Can you tell us about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Before I get into the social media with my realtors, every time I meet with them, I always send them a handwritten card. Thanks for meeting with me. It personalizes my business information in it, and it has our brochure. So that's always sent immediately, no matter what. Within 24 hours, it's in the box.
Great.
After that letter, I add them to my newsletter campaign, so I make sure that they're in there immediately, and we're going to be marketing them every single month. But then I also add them to Facebook, so they can get to know me as a person.
Yes.
And then after I've started talking to them personally, I'll add them to my Facebook page as well. I don't always go straight to the Facebook page, because I want to have them have that relationship with me. I don't want to feel like I'm the first stager, hey, be my friend on my page.
Yeah.
So I want to have that relationship, so it feels more personable between the two of us. And then I let them know that as soon as they start working with me, they get added to a private real estate agent page where I post all my content 1 month before it's live, so they get to see it first, share it with their clients first. Yeah, they get to. It'll be news articles. It could be a video. It could be something I've put together. It could be a transformation story. Absolutely anything. And also, once they work with me and they're on that personal Facebook page that's private, they have exclusivity rights to anything they want to do with me. As far as maybe they want to create a video, maybe for their web page, maybe they want to do a home transformation, type of thing where we're walking through the home. Maybe they want to have me write for a blog. I'm not going to do any of that until you use me and you're on that private VIP page and we start having that relationship.
Well, that's a value added, right?
Right. I do a general marketing, obviously, to the agents that we don't work with, but once they start working with me, I kind of have this secret key I unlock for them, and they can have access to all that stuff, which is pretty cool. And they really like that. They're interactive. They'll post on there. They do marketing for me to the people they already use. They're like, oh, you staged this home and it's sold in an hour. And I'm like, thank you.
Exactly, right? Because, right, Michelle, it's all about building that relationship, and we want them to promote that, because that's how you get the referrals.
Yeah, I see a lot of stagers are very concerned on Facebook. They're mentioning they don't have many clients and they need more, and that's where the feeling of not being in a community comes into play. But if you have several very ideal clients, you build the relationship, they become the people who refer them to other people just like them. And that's what you want them to do. They become your salespeople, and they draw in those other people that begin to use you. I know in particular in the office I'm in, after at least 1 year, a gentleman came up to me, an agent, and he said, I've been watching you for a year, and I have somebody I want you to go and see. So realtors work very hard to get their listings. They're very afraid that somebody's going to mess it up for them, and they work so hard to get them. And that's where you're really having your issue. It's in your way that you approach them and making them feel comfortable, and that's where the follow-up comes in again. It may take a year to get that person to actually use you, but that's why you want to do that touching in a value-added way, and that you're bringing something of value to them. And even though they haven't worked with you, I subscribe to a lot of luxury real estate blogs and things because I do work at the higher end a lot of the time, and so I'll send them these little links to it, and so that might help them with a particular listing they have coming up. On the average priced homes, same thing. I still am always looking for things that will help them decide, should they renovate that bathroom? They might not have much of a budget. What can we do? Can we make it look better? And that's how they get that listing, because they actually help that homeowner move forward and make the decision to spend a little bit of money and do it, and the house is sold. They look like a star. I'm just there as part of the team. Right. So again, that's where the follow-up comes into play.
Absolutely. That's really brilliant, Michelle. And even with someone that has a luxury home, I mean, they still have a budget. So even as a great stager, we could be suggesting that they reno this or whatever. May not happen, right? But everything that you and Kristy have talked about is building that relationship. And we all know, we've heard it, you got to know, like, and trust before you buy, but you also have to get in front of them. You have to create the relationship, because sales is just a relationship. That's all it is, right? And people are either going to like you or not, and you'll know that right away when you start working with them. So Kristy, I just wanted to ask you, that's brilliant, the idea about the private Facebook page. Brilliant. So we'll see. Yeah, especially for realtors, right? Because we want them to know that we're part of the team, and that's what you're doing when you are building those relationships with them. So do you do much networking then, Kristy, or have you got such a good base now that you don't have to do what some of the other people, stagers, are doing?
I started off 100% networking, so I would hit the pavement. I would go to every single meeting, get in front of people's faces. There comes a time where you've been in front of their face so much, they recognize you, they know you, they're starting to say hi when they see you walk by. That is the key to freedom. So just be consistent at attending these events, and like I said, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When I started, I swear, I actually was so shy. I waited for my phone to ring, and when 6 months hit and I didn't have any jobs, I was like, I need to try something different.
So Kristy, I can't imagine you being shy. You're so good, right? You taught yourself.
Now I'm outgoing. So
absolutely.
It actually started from joining a networking group, one that met every single week. There was 5 people in the group. I got used to talking to 5 people, and those 5 people turned into 10, turned into 20, turned into 30, and then I speak at RESA now. So the crowds don't bother me anymore, but it all starts with baby steps. And I don't network anymore. But I did when I started. That's what you need to do to get the traction. It's numbers. It's a numbers game. How many hours in a day? How many people can you hit?
I actually attend the brokerage conferences internationally and for the luxury marketing internationally, and I speak at those conferences. So yes, I network. I went to Spain in the fall. I've been to Seattle. So it's different way of networking, because then you're talking to broker owners. And you're trying to elevate the idea of having someone in to prepare their listings for photos and for buyers at that level. So then they'll go home locally and find someone. Of course, I'm there to promote RESA and their members. And if you're in Seattle or you're in Vancouver, wherever you are, this is a place you can start. So again, networking and following up definitely helps, because then, of course, this past Christmas, I got a phone call from a TV station in New York City because someone there had mentioned my name that I had met at a conference 2 years ago.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. So it is all about creating those relationships, but remember that we are in charge, right? Like Michelle and Kristy have got this down. I think a lot of times when newbies are starting out, there's so much fear of, oh, what will they think, or am I bothering them, or whatever. Well, don't make it something that's bothering them. Think outside the box. You've got to value what it is you're offering. Now, I wanted to ask, Michelle, do you send out cards at all, or do you have Did you ever use those to send out cards?
Send out cards? No, I've never done that. I'm much better one-on-one doing seminars, and
Okay.
do a seminar at RESA showing people how I do the actual seminar, and that's how I do it. People to this day, 8 years later, say, I remember the first time I saw you and what you did and said. So to me, it's a very powerful thing when you give somebody a visual, and that allows them to recreate it in some way with their clients. And I find that's the best way of networking for me. I tried doing, when I very first started, I was on Active Rain quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they had promoted
Me too.
newsletters. And thank God for Active Rain, because it really helped me build my business. It was a large part due to them. I didn't know how to use the internet or anything, so they taught me everything. But basically, I tried sending the newsletters out. I wouldn't say they ever directly brought me business. I stopped doing them after 1 year.
Okay.
So I'm not a big proponent of it. It's not to say it doesn't work for other people. It just didn't work in my particular market. And much better in person, again, because real estate is a very emotional, touchy-feely field. You really have to get people feeling comfortable with you in person. So I cannot stress enough of how to get into a brokerage and bring value. And sometimes you have to book in through the brokerage owner. If it's in a big brokerage like what I'm in, you're never going to see him. You're going to have to speak with a manager. And again, as Kristy says, make friends with the reception, because that's how you get that appointment.
So Michelle, how would you follow up after a talk then? What would you tell people that are just starting out and starting to do the talks? What would be your follow-up from that talk?
The first thing you should have is a sheet that you're leaving there with each person saying, is there something you'd like to see different in my next seminar? Because you want to find out some sort of rating system about were you clear enough for them that they could make a decision to use you. Because if you don't get any feedback, you don't know if you're actually giving them information that they want to hear. Most people, I get them to give me their business card by saying, I use a PowerPoint presentation, so I actually do before and after page. I do 3 pictures of a kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and then I have different types of information sheets on return on investment. And I say to them, if you give me your business card and you would like to be on my mailing list, I will send these to you in a PDF format so that you can use them in your listing presentation. Most of our agents use an iPad to do their listing presentation. So therefore, you've got them right there. You're on their team. You're providing them with value. You're following up right away. As Kristy says, you have to do it within 24 hours. And they know you say what you do and do what you say right away. You're just showing them right there.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And Kristy, do you find that a lot of your realtors now are using their iPads, going out, showing, and use what you've done? Yeah.
I created a really cool brochure, and they're like, you got anything on the iPad? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll give you the digital copy, same information, but just laid out differently so it makes sense. There are some agents that I work with that do prefer to have their brochures to put in their listing kits, so I'll provide it to them, but it's pretty much a digital world right now.
Yeah.
I do provide 5x7 postcards in large typeface, because in our community, and I'm sure it's the same with most people, there's a very large contingent of older sellers, and they're not internet savvy, they don't want anything done that way, and they need the larger print type. So my agents are extremely pleased that I provide that way. Again, you're following up with another piece of literature that they can use in a positive way to move their business forward.
Right. That's really fabulous. So, you really have become, invaluable to that team, and you are part of the team. So I think that's kind of the essence of what we're saying with the relationship. And you only get to that stage once you start following up, and again, they know, like, and trust you. So we're just going to wrap it up here, but I've learned some new things. I like that private Facebook page for realtors. Never thought of that one myself. I like it. So hopefully we've given the viewers some valuable tips here. So, Kristy, just before we wrap up, what could you give, let's say, a newbie a tip about where, because we see a lot of that in the posts, right? Michelle and Kristy, I know that you're both really good about, answering people and helping people, but what would be one follow-up strategy for someone that can't think of anything else to do? They say, well, I've emailed, I don't want to email anymore because I'm bothering them. I phone, but they're not returning my calls. What would you suggest to them at that point?
I think they need to get creative. There's so many things out there. I like having some sort of uh, kitschy kind of thing where maybe it's a cookie that you're bringing and be like, hey, I know oatmeal raisin's your favorite cookie. Just thought I'd drop it by. I would, just thinking of you. It doesn't always have to be, harassment through email, Facebook, and all that. Yeah. There is a timing with it. So when you are doing your follow-ups, it's not so much, I've emailed them, now I'm going to Facebook them, now I'm going to call them. You have to space them out a little bit. 24 hours for your first one. I usually do my second attempt in about 5 to 7 days, depending on how urgent this person may need something or the information is. If they're new, I usually wait till a new agent. I wait till 7 days. If they're a hot agent and they're really big producers, I wait 5 days. But I always try and get creative. The really coolest thing that I've ever used was a pill bottle, and on the front of it says "selling pains" with a question mark, and then on the inside, on the outside, it still said the inside's your prescription for your selling pains. Follow the directions as needed, and then pretty much on the inside, it was information on using me.
Oh, so wow, that's clever.
They thought it was really funny. They've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah,
they're outside the box, right?
Yeah, and I actually got a lot of calls from that. They're like, you made me laugh. It made me think of you after the event, and I thought this was really cool. So those things you can actually, drop off in mailboxes. You can, do absolutely. You can even mail them. So there's a lot of things you can do with it.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Kristy. And how about you, Michelle?
The best thing I ever did like that, I used Martha Stewart's recipe for rosemary scones.
Oh.
I put two.
You got me.
Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, I've never thought of putting rosemary in my scones before, but it's so delicious. I still have people, because I took them to my suppliers as well.
Oh.
You understand, real estate agents go to suppliers like tile suppliers and things like that. And so those suppliers then say, well, this is from, lady that dropped these off. And I actually got a lot of business from one marble and tile supplier because I dropped those scones off to them. So networking and follow-up is always great. They still say years later, oh, are we getting those scones again this Christmas? So definitely worth doing.
Right, that's right. That's great. Oh, I love that. I could talk all day to you guys. Well, I'm definitely going to have you back again, because I can see a lot of topics that the staging community could really appreciate. So thanks so much, Kristy.
Thank you.
And just let viewers know where they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so a lot of my information is on my webpage, listed right there, capitalhomestaginganddesign.ca, or you can email me at info@chsd.ca. If you want to call me, it's all listed on my webpage, but it's in Ontario, so email might be easier.
Great, or a Skype even, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And Michelle. Now, Michelle, you've got 2 websites. So you've got Advantage, yeah.
I have AdvantageStaging.ca, which you can see my general information on there. You can also click through to my blog. The information on the screen is MichelleFinnamore.com. That is my blog, and all my information to contact me is on there as well. And it's because we do design work as well, so I have one for staging and I have one for design, and it seems to work that way.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. Yeah, I like your blog. I was reading some of it. So that's our hangout for today. So I'm Dana Smithers with Empowered Women in Business. If you're interested in checking me out for coaching, whether you're a home stager or just an entrepreneur in general, just go to my website, empoweredwomeninbusiness.com/coaching, and I will actually do a 30-minute complimentary coaching call with you. But you have to make the effort to fill out a form that's about you, so we can make the most of that 30 minutes of laser time. So again, ladies, thanks so much. And until we do our next Google Hangout, have an awesome day.
Thanks.
Thank you.